person in authority with the Young Canadians. Group regularly performs during the Stampede Grandstand show. Officers expanded their investigation, and police say several victims have come forward. They say all the victims were between the ages of 15 and 18 at the time of the alleged offenses. A boycott Tim Hortons protest is planned for today at noon in Calgary. It comes after the coffee chain decided to pull advertising by Enbridge from its restaurants. Tim's made that move in response to an online petition. And StatsCan says employment across the country increased by 59,000 jobs in May. In Alberta, the employment rate stayed just about the same. Stay tuned to CBC Radio 1 for all of your news updated throughout the day. In the weather for Calgary, a mix of sun and cloud for most of the day with a chance of scattered showers this afternoon and a high of 22 degrees. It is currently in Calgary, sunny and 17 degrees. In Red Deer, it's currently sunny and 15. And in Lethbridge, it's currently sunny and 16. Later on today, does Moonstruck make up for Ghost Rider's spirit of vengeance? Can you reminisce about leaving Las Vegas when the stench of Drive Angry still lingers? Well, the time has come, my friends, at last to ask the question, is Nicolas Cage good or bad? Film critics Nathan Rabin and Kyle Smith enter the cage match coming up. Plus, we'll have more music from our Friday live guests, Unknown Mortal Orchestra. Well, the metaphor of city as jungle is a familiar one, and a much-discussed new book, Primates of Park Avenue, zooms in closely on one particular patch of tropical concrete. It's a neighborhood where tribal social structures and cutthroat survival tactics reign supreme. It's not Wall Street, it's the Upper East Side of Manhattan, where, in 2004, writer Wednesday Martin moved with her husband and son. Martin suddenly found herself among wealthy stay-at-home moms engaging in rituals unfamiliar to most outsiders. Using her PhD in cultural studies, Wednesday Martin went to work attempting to understand this group of elite, Lululemon females through the lens of anthropology. Along the way, she saw a dark underbelly homes rife with deep anxiety, pill-popping, and gender power imbalances. Her colorful book, Primates of Park Avenue, is drawing both attention and debate. And right now, Wednesday Martin joins us from New York City. Hello, Wednesday.
Hello, Rachel.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. First off, describe, for people who haven't read the book, describe the Upper East Side primate. Who is she?
The Upper East Side primate is glamorous. The ones I studied had young children who were not yet in school full-time. So she is dedicated to her children, spends a lot of time enhancing their lives, taking care of them, and she spends a lot of time taking care of herself, being beautiful. It's a body display culture, and it is a culture of what I call descendant worship. Children are very important. It's a very child-centric culture.
And these are women who, these are not your typical trophy wife when you think of that expression. These are women who are highly educated. They likely had high-powered careers like their husbands before opting to stay at home and be full-time stay-at-home moms. Is that correct?
That is correct. What we know from the research on assorted mating is that people now often tend to marry people of their own educational level. So yes, these are highly educated women in marriages of a highly educated couple. And the reason they're staying home is they're at a particular life stage when their children are very young. And there's an underlying social factor, which is we have abysmal child care in the United States. So whether you're middle income or wealthy or poor, across the spectrum, women are impacted by just the paucity of child care here, and I was surprised to see that even in a wealthy population that came into play.
Yeah, well, was there, because I mean, it wasn't like you were very far away from the Upper East Side. You were still in Manhattan. I believe you and your husband were living in the West Village when you decided to move to that neighborhood.
That's right.
When did you realize that things were so different? I mean, you talk about this moment of discovering these women are having struggles with childcare, but when was the moment that you felt you kind of like, went through the looking glass?
Well, to peel it back, it really happened as soon as we landed there. Now, I had known that I was moving from a sort of casual, progressive, understated neighborhood, the West Village, to a neighborhood that was very different. I was aware of that. And, the first day that I walked out of our apartment to buy milk at the corner grocery store, I realized from the looks I got that I was horribly underdressed in my jeans and clogs. I knew that right away. What took a little minute longer was to realize that within that very elegant, formal world, there was another world, and that was the world of Upper East Side mommies. And that really struck me one day when I saw these chauffeured black SUVs with women getting out of them just dressed to the nines, looking beautiful and put together at 8 o'clock in the morning. And they looked like they were really dressed for the front row of Fashion Week, but it was school drop-off. And I said to myself, I've really landed in a very interesting place, and my little social researcher antenna went up and I wanted to understand it, and I found stranger and stranger things as I looked.
Yeah, well, you've already, in our conversation, we talked about the term selective mating, and the book is really framed as an anthropological study that you sort of plunge yourself down in this unfamiliar world, and you're trying to make sense of its traditions and habits and power structures. Why did that kind of language or framework of anthropology seem to fit your own investigation as you were trying to make your way as a woman? And you were also, well, you were working as a writer, but you were mainly at home with your family together, separate vacations, girls' weekends. What did you think when you first saw that?
Well, it just struck me, and just the simple fact of it really interested me. And then, I did what I have done for the book. I just asked these women, look, I'm writing a book about learning to be a mommy on the Upper East Side. Can you tell me about this? Some women wanted to participate and help, and others didn't. The ones who wanted to help, one of the first things that I asked them about was sex segregation, and I would say that the responses fell into 3 categories. One was, yeah, of course. They didn't think that there was anything strange about it. It's just the way we do it. Then there was a group of women who said, we do this because it's fun and we like it, and it's just easier this way. And then there was a group of women who said, it is kind of strange now that you mention it. So there was a range of responses to it, but certainly it is one of the striking facts. And what's interesting is it doesn't just happen at dinner parties. I've told this anecdote before that I tried to get my son into a summer camp at one point and was told something that's a fairly common practice. I wanted to make sure he could be with his little female friends at the summer camp, which is a co-educational camp for boys and girls. And I was told, no, he won't see them during the day. They have separate activities, the boys and the girls. And so he won't see his little friends who are girls. And I asked why, and they said, well, we find that they have such differences at these ages. They have such different interests. And I think my son was, maybe 4 years old at the time. So the fact I took away from that was that sex segregation in this culture isn't just at the level of a dinner party, it's institutional, and it starts very young.
See, and
that was a conversation started for me.
Yeah, and I find that really strange because it seems like you're talking about a group that's like the 1% of the 1%, an extremely elite and rarefied group that is bucking all demographic trends when it comes to the rearing of children. Elsewhere, we're seeing more women in the workforce, more men engaged with raising their children. We're seeing the children not being able to get to a pediatrician. And I'm not a parent. Sorry, the astronomy tutor, the math tutor, she's supposed to be the child's psychologist. She's supposed to basically help the child in every way that our mothers didn't when we were young, and they could open the back door and say, go play in the backyard. And I like to compare that to what a mother feels compelled to do now, which is when her child is sitting next to her playing with Legos, she feels compelled on some level to make that an enhanced educational experience for that child, to interact with the child, to talk to the child, to do play therapy with the child when the child is just playing with Legos. It's relentless, and you can never let your guard down, and you can never stop mothering, but if you do it,
You're a helicopter mother. So I see these women as caught in a cultural contradiction, and intensive motherhood